501c3 workplace are the brainchild of Donna Miller, who started about 20 years ago. And what we are is a shared office facility, virtual administrative services company in 2 locations, one in Montclair, New Jersey, and the latest C3 workplace up in Sparta, New Jersey. And what we do is we provide services for small business owners, for solo practitioners, entrepreneurs, to help them to be able to focus on what they do best and to get the administrivia off of their plate. You probably didn't go in business to do paperwork, but we did. So, if you have any questions about Above and Beyond, again, my name is Janet Neal. You can always call me or send me an email at janet@virtualofficestaff.com, and I'd be delighted to have a conversation with you about how we might be able to help you. So with that, I'd like to now turn it over to Pam and have Pam enlighten us as to how we can use LinkedIn for our businesses. Pam?
Janet, thanks for having me today, and welcome everyone. Thanks for joining me for another webinar. If you are new to my webinars and new to getting to know me, just a quick tidbit about me. I'm Pam Ungst. My company is Pam and Marketing. I am a web traffic controller. I have been early coding since age 6 on Commodore 64, and I've been a geek ever since. I started coding websites in HTML in 1997, and obviously that led to a career path in e-commerce for me. And then I have my own business. I help companies do all sorts of things with digital marketing, anything from building websites, usually WordPress websites, to search engine optimization, social media marketing, and any digital way to promote your business. What I really specialize in is tying in all those digital strategies together and making them play off of each other for an exponential effect. So today we're going to talk about one of those strategies, which is LinkedIn, and you can do a lot just in LinkedIn alone. The stat I heard recently, something about 2 new members join LinkedIn per second. It's crazy the way that LinkedIn is growing. It just continues to grow. I think in 2010 it was 1 member per second. Now it's 2 members per second. I'm sure it's just going to get more and more. So LinkedIn is a place you want to be for sure. So Janet said we're recording this for people who couldn't make it. A lot of people said they couldn't make it at this time. So if you're listening to the recording and you have questions and you didn't get to do the live Q&A, just shoot me an email, pam@pamandmarketing.com, and I'll get back to you. Okay, so let's dive in. LinkedIn basics and beyond. What we're going to go over today is just getting started. And not even on LinkedIn, we'll tell you what you need to know. The first few steps you need to do to get going, and move from that to profile optimization, then recommendations and endorsements, magazine group membership, taking it to the next level. If you want these slides, you can download them. There's that link at the bottom. So instead of feverishly taking notes, you can download the slides for reference. And like Jana says, you can submit questions along the way, and we'll have Q&A at the end. So getting started. If not even on LinkedIn, or if you're one of those people who create a LinkedIn profile a number of years ago at this point and haven't really touched it since, or you go there once in a while but don't really do anything with it, the very first thing you want to do right now is figure out your strategy for LinkedIn. First, who exactly are you going after? Let's try to equate these things to, it's just like real life. Who in real life are you trying to meet? Support your business, to grow your business. What are the demographics of that person? What company do they work for? What position do they have at that company? Profile of who you're going after. It's useful to have clear in your head, both in real life and especially on LinkedIn, because you can do advanced searching for those kinds of people. Second, what exactly makes you different? Like, there are hundreds of millions of members on there, so you really do have to make yourself stand out. It is a little bit more difficult to stand out there than in a real networking event, because in real life you find a number of people in a room. You're only up against anywhere from 20 to maybe even 200 at a large chamber breakfast or something, but it's still not 300 million. So you really gotta, especially when it comes to filling out your profile, what exactly makes you different. Be specific about that and be obvious about that. And exactly do you want to get from this? LinkedIn doesn't cost to participate unless you use one of their advanced premium features, but it costs you your time. So think about exactly do you want to get out of this time investment. I say exactly, I mean put on it and put a time frame on it. Use SMART objectives. I learned in business school. It's SMART stands for specific, measurable, attainable. I forget what the R is, and time frame. Do you know what the R is? I forget that every time.
SMART,
reachable, is it?
Reachable, yeah, I think that might be it.
All right, thanks. But anyway, the point is to be specific and to put a time frame on it so you don't feel like, what am I doing here? Am I wasting my time? If you put a certain amount of time in it and you're measuring what you're getting out of it, well, then you can know whether or not you're getting enough value out of your time investment.
The word is realistic.
Oh, thank you. Realistic. Yes, that's the word. It is. So specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and frame. Thank you. Okay, so you're on LinkedIn. First thing you got to do, fill out your profile. You want a professional headshot. It's worth the money. Just photographer, it's one-time cost. It is worth it. It's like showing up at a networking event in sweats. You wouldn't do that in real life. Don't put a crappy picture on LinkedIn. You want to look professional, like the business cat there. It makes a big difference. Like you said, you're up against hundreds of millions of people. Your picture needs to make an impression. Photographers can do awesome things with lighting and editing and, you know, make you really stand out compared to the other profile pictures there. Second, you want a great headline. When they're searching around LinkedIn or participating in groups, all they really see when they hover over you is your picture, your name, and your headline. So that is your one and only opportunity to encourage the person to click on you and read more about you. So before you even worry about the rest of your profile, you need to have a great headline. And trick here for SEO purposes, for when people Google your name, you want your LinkedIn profile to come up, especially if there's out there or might be people out there that have the same name as you. This is super important if your name is like J. Smith or something like that. You want to put your name first in the headline. So mine, I say, Pam Ungst is a web traffic controller with experience in blah, blah, blah. But the point is, talk about yourself in the third party, at least in the headline, and put it first. It has a good effect in Google for getting you ranked for your name. Third, you customize your link, your URL. Go to your own LinkedIn profile. At the bottom of the main box of information at the top, there's a link, and that's your LinkedIn link. That's what you can use to send other people to you, but by default, it's got a gobbledygook in it, and it's not really used to you then. You customize that, and you make it something clean and simple with your name in it, like mine is linkedin.com/in/Pam Ungst. That's /in, but that just gets simple, memorable, and something nice and clean that you can put on your business cards, you could put it in your email signature, you could put it on stationery or anything. If it's nice and clean and easy to remember, you can put it all over the place. Next, make sure you completely fill it out, and LinkedIn's really good about stepping you through this. It will tell you the percentage of completion of your profile. So just make sure it's all out. You want to use smart keywords throughout. Think about your aspects. So you were thinking before about who exactly you want to go after. Now think about what exactly that person would type in LinkedIn or even into Google when for someone like you. You want those words on your profile. At least a couple of places. You don't want to stuff it with those words, but they want you words to be there. Describe yourself. I describe myself as web traffic controller, but I know that nobody searches for a web traffic controller. I'm just doing that to be different. So I add, search engine optimization specialist, things that people would actually type in. And new features, Janet was right, they sure are making a lot of changes lately, which is frustrating in some ways, but great in other ways, and this is one of the great features, the multimedia. You can add videos, pictures, slide decks, all sorts of things to your LinkedIn profile, and you should. It's another way to make you stand out versus the hundreds of millions of other people on there. It's profile optimization for yourself. You don't want to fill out your company profile. If you don't have one, you can create one. You just go to Companies in the main menu, and then there's a link in the upper right. It's a small link, but it's there. It says Add a Company. Again, just fill it out 100%. And when you've done that, go back just for a moment to your personal LinkedIn profile. Edit your place of employment so that you select from the existing company profile that you just made. That links your personal profile to your company, so that if somebody stumbles upon your personal profile first and know more about your company, they click on that and it takes them to your company profile. Status updates on your company profile the same way that you can on personal. Just FYI. So you have a beautiful headshot, beautiful headline, beautiful profile. You need to build your network. You know, be there alone, not connected to anyone. I caution you to not be too restrictive. A lot of people approach LinkedIn like, well, and they do tell you only to connect with people that you know, but they have kind of gotten away from that. And in order for LinkedIn to be an effective networking tool, you have to get away from mentality, because if you only connect with people that you already know or already do business with, then that's going to a networking event and refusing to talk to anybody new. Yeah, oh, I can't talk to you. I don't know you already. Even in real life. So, you know, I encourage you not to do that on LinkedIn. I mean, you can be selective. You don't want to connect with so-and-so in Nigeria, but, you know, limit yourself too much and limit the potential of your LinkedIn activity by being too picky about who you connect with. You know what's going to come of it, and you never know who they know. Start connecting with people, you can start importing your email contacts. It's the easiest way to link up with people you already know. And then once you have your email contacts in there and you're linked up to people you already know, the people you may know feature starts to suggest other people to you that you may already know that you can ask for an introduction to through your existing connections. So if you are, like, let's say I'm connected to Janet, and through the people you may know. Now she's connected to Joe Smith. And Joe Smith fits my profile for target, so I can either offline or online through LinkedIn's feature where you can request an introduction. I can ask Janet to introduce us. So, or I can simply send Joe Smith a connection request, and he will see through the connection request that, you know, it is a mutual connection. That's to start building your network. So you have all these connections. Anything else out of that? Way is through recommendations and endorsements. Recommendations have been around a long time. Endorsements is fairly new. What endorsements are is a one-click thumbs up, basically. You can give a one-click endorsement to somebody to say, I know that you're an expert on that topic. I have faith that I have goods in that topic. And it's a click action. So a lot of people are like, what is this stupid thing? It means nothing. It only takes somebody a nanosecond to give a click. So how can I look at that as credible? It means nothing, blah, blah, blah. I've heard a lot of, you know, people being critical of endorsements. I get that in one way. In a way, I got it is like this example that you see here. It's not, you know, credibility of a single click, which isn't much. It's about how much of that you can amass and the impression that gives, which by looking at this sample right here, I can tell that this person, a lot of people think they know about social media. On social media, on social media marketing, I mean, at one quick glance, that person knows what they're talking about social media. A lot of people think that they know about social media, so a good impression. You want to gather these on your profile, but the easiest way to do so is to start giving them out. It will notify people that you gave them an endorsement, and that prompts them to endorse you in return. So, though, is recommendations. This has more of a quality factor to it. It's not just a one-click, nanosecond type thing. It takes people time to write, like see here, a whole paragraph of the person and, depth about their experience with that person. And it holds a lot more weight than that one click. And it also shows who it's from. Like, one from, like the example that I gave here, Angela Kubisky, Executive Vice President of the Morris County Chamber of Commerce. She's a pretty high-profile person. And she wrote me a really nice long review. So that holds a lot of weight. Quantity, yeah, it looks good. Like right now I have 17 people, and you can see that as soon as you pull up my LinkedIn profile, it says 17 people have recommended Pam. That looks good. The quantity does count, but these are more about the quality. So, it's great that someone can read about and personal experience with me. That holds a lot of weight. How do you get people to give these to them? Reciprocal gifting is a driving force in how people build relationships with one another. That's a quote from Rick Dragon's book, Social Marketology. But he was quoting some timeless research that goes back to, I don't even know, caveman type days. It's just human nature. You give somebody a little favor, they give a little favor in return. That's how you build a relationship. And so how do you get real business relationships out of LinkedIn? You get. You don't want to be too obvious that you're just giving a recommendation in order to get a recommendation. You want to be genuine and authentic, especially because recommendations that you give are linked back to and shown on your profile. So remember that. You don't want to be, too fake, or you don't watch what you say. You want to be authentic and choose your words carefully, because that is going to permanently live on your profile. And so, go giving someone that you're not so sure about a good recommendation because someone does business with them, it goes badly. They're like, oh, well, I saw the recommendation from Pam on their profile, so I thought, so that reflects on you poorly. So be careful. And on the side, the that you are stuck in your profile, but the ones you get are stuck on your profile too. So don't be afraid to ask for clarification. If someone writes you a recommendation and they were mistaken about remembering a certain fact about a project or something that could actually impact you in a negative way, LinkedIn really has a built-in thing. I get the wording on it, but it's like request a clarification or request an edit. Just be genuine in your request. Just say, I appreciate so much that you wrote me this recommendation. I was just wondering if you could take 2 seconds to clarify this one little thing, because I think it would be important for my prospects to get the accurate information or something like that. Don't be afraid to ask for the clarification, because it is going to be stuck on your profile. I mean, delete it, but that'd be a shame to have to delete a recommendation just because it needs a little clarification. So that's the recommendations and endorsements, and one way building relationships on LinkedIn or through LinkedIn. The next way is group membership. So what I always see people do is join groups that they're interested in. I say do not join groups that you're interested in. Join groups that your target market is interested in, that your target prospects belong to. If you join a group, let's say you're a photographer and you join a Photoshop group because you're interested in Photoshop, makes except you're only interacting with your competitors in there. There's really no reason for you to be in a Photoshop group if you're trying to get leads out of LinkedIn. And looking for strategic partnerships, I can get that, but the primary goal would be to join groups that your target market is in. So, a photographer, that might be an advertising agency group or something like that, people that often need photographer services. A real estate group. If a photographer has zero interest in real estate, they might not think about joining real estate groups in their area, but that would be perfect for them to join because those people need photography very often. So think hard on that. Join groups that your target prospects are in, not that you want to belong to, because you're likely just going to be amongst your competition. So the do again is strategy, but also schedule. Participation to make it less overwhelming and to make it feel like you're approach strategically and actually going to get something out of it, come up with a schedule. It can be real simple at first, 3 times a week. On days, I'm going to post a tip about X. So let's say, again, in the photographer example, if they're targeting real estate groups, on Mondays, they're going to post a tip about, photographing exteriors of buildings. On Wednesdays, they might post a tip about photographing interiors of buildings. And on Fridays, they might show a post from their site with recent photography. It's not, to give them information that is genuinely useful to them. Promote too much, but it is okay to put some content of your own in there if it's useful to them. So let's say you do 15 area as this for who wants these relationships to one group at a time is pretty cumbersome. So if you're sharing a link, like in the case of the blog post, or if the one photographing exteriors was on another site, you can install this little LinkedIn bookmarklet in there, and lets you quickly click the share on LinkedIn button and share to multiple groups at once. You just start typing the group's name, and you can share up to groups at once. So you can belong to up to 50 groups, and you can do the same thing to 50 groups at once if you want with this little bookmarklet. So it's really a time saver for sure. I do stick with the genuinely useful concept as we're posting in groups. You don't want to self-promote too much. So just ask yourself with each post, is this something that members of this group will find genuinely useful, whether they do business with me or not? You just, again, you want to give to get. It's that psychological concept of building social equity. If you are helping them often, you don't need photography at the moment, but when they do, guess who's going to be top of mind? You, because you've been so helpful to them so consistently. So, at this point, I was going to share with you the best kept secret on LinkedIn, except they deleted it. These are the things that is so frustrating about the rapidness of the changes with LinkedIn. Oh man, I couldn't believe they did this. I had this feature called Answers. It was a Q&A forum. It was very strategically organized by topic. You could go there, you could search for topics that you were an expert on and answer people's questions and demonstrate your expertise, and it was such a great lead generator. I got so many leads out of that, and I had clients get leads out of that. It was great. And they deleted it. It was awful. I was giving a seminar evening, and I was focusing on LinkedIn for lead generation, so I was focusing hard on the answers section, and literally the next morning, an email, they were deleting this feature. I was beside myself. So you see there, I got a screenshot of my blog article where I rant and rave about that. So if you want to read more about that, you can go to my blog. But for now, I'll give you a substitute method for their expertise. So Quora, a lot of you might have heard of Quora already, is a separate Q&A question answer site, separate from LinkedIn, but you can link your Quora activity to your LinkedIn. So it's a close, well, I don't know how close. It's a substitute for demonstrating your expertise as far as answering people's questions. So, for example, I answered this question on Quora: what is the industry standard for Facebook engagement rate for brands? I gave a pretty answer. It shows a summary of my answer there, but that shows up on my LinkedIn profile and in my LinkedIn activity stream in that feed. When my contacts first log on to LinkedIn for the day, in the home stream, that my whole answer, that I can demonstrate to the way at the LinkedIn answer. Setting in and now, I hope I'll get according to. Oh, can you hear you? Okay, sorry about that. How much that was audible about the Quora thing?
Or you could hear, just right after that, you started fading out there.
Oh. Let me know if it happens again. So,
doing it again.
This is okay. Give me just a minute. I'll call in on my other phone. Hang on.
Okay. And while Pam's doing that, let me just remind you that if you do have a question, please submit it via chat or Q&A function on your screen, and we'll be glad to pass that on to Pam. Waiting for Pam, let me just remind you that at the end of this session, I'll be giving you a spur to manage from above and beyond, so that you can take advantage of future connections and making more connections, not only in LinkedIn, but in face and other webinars as well. Pam, back? Yeah.
I am back. Can you hear me now?
I can now.
Okay, great. So sorry about that. I'm in an alternate location today, not my usual landline that I like to use. So sorry about that. Moving right along. So that's for, just to recap real quick in case my audio didn't allow you to hear, basically LinkedIn had this great feature called Answers. You could demonstrate your expertise by answering questions for people, and it was a great lead generator. So, but they deleted it in their million changes they're making lately. They decided it wasn't part of their future roadmap. So what I suggest doing now is doing the same activity on Quora, which is not a linked product, but you can link your Quora activity to LinkedIn, and it has a similar effect of letting people see on your profile and in your activity stream real demonstration of your expertise. So taking it even more to the next level, now you've connected with people, you've started to build relationships by giving endorsements and recommendations and getting them back. You've started participating in groups genuinely useful to your target market and building up social equity with them. Some tools that you can take your LinkedIn activity even further with are based business card scanners. So there's an app on iPhone called Card Munch. It's actually owned by LinkedIn. And there's an app on Android called CamCard. Both those allow you to, when you get someone's business card in real life, you can take a picture of the business card. It imports the information into your contacts in your phone. And it also has a little option right there for you to connect with LinkedIn on that right away. It's pretty awesome. Another similar is there are these inbox plugins. There's one for Gmail called Reportive and one for Outlook called Zobme, which is inbox spelled backwards, so that should help you remember better. When you are emailing someone, they put on the side of the email all the person's different social profiles. So it does is if it's someone new that you're emailing, it tells you where you can find them on LinkedIn, and there's a to connect right there. And also Facebook, Twitter, and other Google Plus, any other profiles they have tied to that email address, it shows you right there. So it lets you connect with them in places. And that, for me, has been really instrumental in keeping myself in front of people in other places. So I emailed somebody recently, and I found the little sidebar Facebook. So I went and I liked their Facebook page. And them for a while. Probably, 6 weeks, 2 months or something. And then, because at one time that plugin prompted me to like their Facebook page, and a few months later I saw something from them on Facebook and I clicked like on it. Within, I got an email that they were like, they're clicking like on my thing. By the way, I've been meaning to redo my website. And, I just see your name there, thought of you, and you do websites, right? And I ended up giving them a proposal and getting the website project. Simply because I clicked like on one little thing on their Facebook business page. because a couple months earlier, my Reportive plugin prompted me to their Facebook page, which I never would have even thought of at that moment while I was emailing them. So very effective. And the one is a CRM system. The one that I am starting to use now is called Nimble. It is made by the former creator of Goldmine, which back in the day was the CRM system, CRM's customer relationship management software. And I met him at NMX, New Media Expo, back in January, and he was telling me about his new company and this new system, Nimble, and I couldn't wait to try it. And I'm on a free trial right now, and it's awesome. So, just playing with it, trying it out, it makes that kind of reportive and anything to the next level. So it pulls up your contact, it shows you where they are socially, but not that. It shows you all your interactions with them in one stream. So whether it's an email, a tweet, a Facebook message, a LinkedIn message, and so on and so forth, is that all in one stream. So, nowadays we don't just touch base with our prospects by phone or email. We often sometimes, like I said, we like something that they post on Facebook, or we tweet them, or we send a LinkedIn message, or comment on something on their LinkedIn. I mean, all these little soft touches with these prospects that, are effective, like in the example that I gave. And kind of software can help you, when you haven't done one of those touches in too long with a certain customer or prospect. And all the traditional CRM too. If you're quoting a job, you put in the fact that you're working on a job, and you put in us to remind yourself to follow up on it in 2 weeks, and so on and so forth. But the social integration in this particular one is what's really great. Not only will it prompt you to connect with them LinkedIn, it will integrate your LinkedIn activity into your chain of your touch points with that customer or prospect. So that recap. Started, have a strategy. Don't just go in blind. You will feel like you're wasting your time. You will feel overwhelmed and lost if you don't have a strategy. And be specific in your strategy. Set your network. Talked about various ways to do that, and don't be too restrictive. The file optimization part of things, that photo, so important. The multimedia, the keywords, forgot to redline, custom link, all those things that we talked about just make for a real polished overall professional look. That's your, again, show up in sweats, show up, dress up nicely, and that's what dressing up your profile does. But don't forget to create a company profile too, and fill out both of them 100%. About building social equity is give to get. Give recommendations, give endorsements, and you will find that you will automatically, without even having to ask for them, you'll start racking them up yourself. In groups, genuinely useful information. Don't promote too much. If you build social equity with people and are genuinely helpful to them, they'll come to you when they need you. And again, strategy and schedule so you don't feel like you're wasting your time and you don't feel overwhelmed. I think take to the next level, like Quora, and participate in some answering on Quora to demonstrate your expertise and have that show up in your LinkedIn feed, and use the tools that we just went over to really take your LinkedIn opportunities to the next level. So with that, I know Janet mentioned she has an offer for you, so I'll let her tell you about that, but I do too. My webinar guests get a discounted rate on private consultation. So if you want to spend an hour going over your particular LinkedIn strategy, your situation, talk about the angle that you want to take on it and what you can get out of it, and need help developing that strategy, then that link right there will get you a better rate on that than anyone else gets. I'd be happy to talk to you about that. So if you have questions and that offer to tell us about too.
Great, and thank you, Pam. That was very informative. I do have a question here. Some said, and I know this has happened for me as well, that they get endorsements from people that they don't know. How is that beneficial?
With the endorsements, it's all about the quantity. I don't think that anyone, one example, that girl had 10 endorsements for social media. I have this much time on my hands, but maybe somebody does. But I really don't think that people go digging and looking at each one of those and who it was that gave it to you, how you might know them or might not know them. It's just with endorsements specifically, it's just quantity gives a good impression. So people that you don't know are giving you endorsements,
yeah.
Why not?
So it's kind of like a visual chart there.
Yes, it's all about the quantity. It's all like, it's like raising hands in a room. If somebody went in a room and said, does Pam Monk know about SEO? It's all about people raise their hands. It's not necessarily who they are. It's the collective image that's given by all those people raising their hands.
So here's a related question. So as far as the number, because I know it gives you a whole bunch of different skills that you check off that you have. So you have, 400 skills. I'm exaggerating, but you have a whole bunch of skills. Does that kind of diminish the visual impact there?
Well, first of all, maximum of 50, so you can only put 50.
Okay.
But 50 is a lot, so if you have 50 skills, it does make people's decision-making a little harder as far as, oh, wow, what are all these things I can endorse them for? I don't know. Oh, should I do this? Should I do that? If you only give them a few choices, then you'll rack up more on those few choices faster. Side to that, though, is the skills are very keyword heavy. They are linked to a skills page, and if you become popular enough on LinkedIn, you can actually, so let's say like Google Analytics is a skill listed. If I got enough endorsements for that, and if my overall LinkedIn presence reached a certain level, I show up if someone clicks on the Google Analytics page under the skills section of LinkedIn, I'm like one of the top experts there. So, for keyword purposes and for exposure purposes, you probably don't want to limit it too much. But I don't want to go to the full 50 either. You can, something in between.
I just want to remind people that if they do have a question, to please send it via chat or the Q&A function. We have another question for you, Pam. Recently, I got one of those emails, and congratulations, you're in the top 5% of the, I guess it's profile views in LinkedIn. I thought it was kind of a scam because I know a lot of people who were getting the top 5%, and then I heard somebody who got a top 1%, so I thought, oh, maybe there is some validity to this. What do you know about it?
The same thing just happened with Cred. Actually, I think LinkedIn might have copied Cred, or Cred copied LinkedIn. Cred is a social influence measurement system, similar to Clout. If some of you know what Clout is, They did the same thing, and it seems like everybody I knew got the email. Same with the LinkedIn thing. But again, they had the varying, the 1%, 5%, 10%. But Cred's answer to their accusations of people calling BS about that was that, Cred measuring like 400 million social profiles, I think that was the number they said. So, 1% of that is I can't do the math in my head, but that's like 1,000 people, I don't know, 10%, if you're doing the top 10%, whatever, even those small percents are people. Networks are that vast. So it can seem fake that so many people are knows, but if you do the math, it kind of makes sense that it would be valid. And they say about the credit dinner, they say valid. So really, they're getting people to go off, those psychological concepts in social media marketing, online marketing, besides the gifting thing that I talked about before, which is like the give to get and the building of social equity. Another element psychologically is status. People love its status. It's just, if it's some kind of status badge or something that puts them above someone else, people just eat it right up. And I see people sharing these things all over the place. Oh, I got a 1%. I got a top 5%. That's exactly what LinkedIn and Cred were going for with this, and it works.
Yep. Okay, good. Well, I think that we're out of questions here, so I want to thank you again. And I just want to put out there to all of you who have taken your time, I appreciate it. We have recorded this, and I will send you a link to it so you can go back and listen to things that you missed. But I also want to, since we're talking about connections, Above and Beyond is very big on connections. Any of you who know us know that both Don and myself are we network a lot. We know a lot of people, and we love connecting people together. And so part of these webinars is in fact our philosophy of getting information, sharing information, and connecting people to information and people to each other. So what I'd like to offer out to you is if you're interested in either another webinar or attending one of our face-to-face networking events, either in Montclair or up in Sparta, send me an email at janet@virtualofficestaff.com, and I will send you a certificate for a $20 coupon that you can use towards a webinar or a face-to-face networking event. Again, that's janet@virtualofficestaff.com. And thank you again for participating. We hope to have you on another event.
Quick, Janet, before we go,
yeah.
A couple of things that I have coming up. Well, you mentioned, C3's events. I don't know if all of you know yet, I work out of the C3 co-working facility in Sparta, and we are having our grand opening here on, is it the 26th, February 26th?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
February 26th, the snow date is February 28th.
So anybody local, if you haven't seen the space yet, it's awesome. It also promises to be a well-attended networking event. So come see me and Janet and Donna at that event. And a couple other things I have coming up as far one more local on the third Wednesday of every month at the Famished Frog in Morristown. I co-organize the networking meetup there, which is a really cool group. So come see me there too if you're local. For virtual fans, I've got 2 more webinars coming up. They're really cool. In 2 weeks, I've got a Pinterest expert, Carol Stevens, going to join me and talk about not just regular old Pinterest stuff, but taking Pinterest to the next level with building engagement on Pinterest, which is going to be really cool. And another totally awesome one after that is I'm having Drew Armada of Sukuri as my guest. He is going to do a live hack of a WordPress website. He's going to show you. You're going to go watch him hack WordPress website. I've seen him do it. It's way too cool. And then obviously he'll give us some tips on how not to let that happen. So definitely keep an eye on my emails for details on those upcoming events.
Thank you for bringing that up about C3 as well. And there are lots of events coming up for Above and Beyond and C3, and I encourage you to go to our website, check our weekly event meetings that go out. I'm sure you're on our mailing list. And to go to c3workplace.com for more information on other events. Anything else?
I think that's it. Thanks again for having me.
Great. Thank you. And see you all later.
Yeah, have a good day.
Bye.
Bye.